Okay, well, now we're live. Hi, everyone, and finally, thank you for joining us from wherever you're joining us. Um, okay, let me adjust my camera. Okay, so I have with me two amazing fashion entrepreneurs. Chechi Arinze, the CEO of Chechi, right, and then Adenike Adeboye, who has once been a label owner, and at the same time she's now a creative director with Tishe. Did I get it? Or Trish? We can't hear you. I didn't care. Can you
I'm muted, Tisha. Yes, sorry, you're
Okay,
correct.
so I'd just like to begin by saying that that the purpose of this um internship conversation is to open the minds of industry enthusiasts, fashion industry enthusiasts, to help them see that there's a process to this journey. You don't become a superstar designer overnight, and that a lot of events happen behind the scene, behind the clothes we see on the runway, behind the Instagram handle, behind the popularity of the name, even behind the designer, right? There's so much that makes up the brand. There's so much that even makes up, the designer themselves. So, before we go on, I'd like Chechi Arinze and Adenike to introduce themselves. So we'll start with Chechi. Chechi, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Ejiro. I'm a designer. Right now for fashion, but I've dabbled in other like parts of design, like jewelry and like furniture spaces, etc. So I run a sustainable fashion brand called Chechi, and yes, a women's wear brand.
Did you say furniture?
Yeah,
Oh, fantastic. Okay, please go on.
yeah, furniture. Don't anyway, but for now it's just women's wear. In the future, I don't
Okay.
know what I'm going to do about it. So that's why I do. I run a sustainable fashion brand called Chechi. That's it.
Okay. Adenike, your turn.
Hi, my name is Adinike Adeboye. I am a creative, but right now, since we're focusing on fashion, I am also a fashion designer, and I am a creative director for a brand called Tishe currently. And that's what I do in my day job and also in my free time. So that's that's the Adinike story.
Okay, so I need to quickly ask, why am I getting the vibe that you guys are no longer just fashion designers? You're exploring other aspects of the creative industry.
I feel like most creatives are already adapting to
Chichi, we can hear you clearly.
oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Dami, can you mute your mic? I think that's why I can't really hear.
Okay, you
Okay.
guys can hear me now, right?
Yes, clear.
Yes, I was just saying that I think very few creatives are ever just one thing. It's usually if in phases. So because sometimes when you're a creative, you're interested in so many different aspects. It's just that at this particular time, this is the way you're expressing your creativity. At another
Also, can I
time,
say that? Can I say that in being a creative, sometimes one thing doesn't
Adenike, can you hear her, Chichi? I can't hear her at the moment. Okay. Do you want to go ahead with what you were saying while we wait for her?
okay, yes. So and then also when you run a business, especially something like Nigeria, where you're doing so many of the rules yourself, you get to discover that, oh, okay, I actually like this one. Maybe as you're building the
Can you
company,
guys hear me? Can you
I
guys
actually
hear
like,
me?
Yeah,
yeah, we can hear you now.
yeah, we can hear you now. Okay, so Adenike, let Chichi
Okay,
just wrap up with what you were saying, then you just come in, okay?
okay,
All right, okay.
okay.
Yes. But basically, yeah, so as I was saying, you might be building your set for your product design. Like, okay, I actually like set design. So that's why I feel like here a lot of creatives it's hard for them to stick to one medium because you do a lot of the different aspects of your job yourself as well, and then you discover other areas that you're good at or other parts of the creative industry or wherever that you enjoy. Like for me now, I just realized I enjoy photography, so it's that kind of situation most times.
I don't care.
Yes, please.
Do you want to add anything to what she said about
So
why
no,
people, they still
okay,
explore
yeah,
other aspects aside from
that's
just.
what I was saying earlier. That sometimes I agree absolutely with everything that she said. That sometimes you already do most of the things, so which makes it easier for you to be able to explore other types of creativity, right? But at the same time, sometimes you do them because, I mean, you know how it is in Nigeria. Not every time will one thing pay you well enough to cover your bills, and you're able to just, okay, let me do this other thing. Well, you get an opportunity, or can you be a set designer on this movie set or this music video? I mean, it's creative work. It's very interesting. You do it, but at the same time, it pays your bills. While maybe your actual business is struggling a little bit. Sometimes you just have to balance things out, depending on how the month is. You get.
Okay, I think that was very fantastic and real. Let me use the word real because in this industry there are a lot of false reality. Let me put it that way. A lot of people have, we perception is key, yes, but reality is also important. So it's about, like, from what I hear you guys, is like you guys have found a way to balance what you love to do, the journey of creativity, and your career as a designer, because a lot of people are there in the industry and they're probably broke. They are scared to explore new terrains. They just are keeping that, name, fashion designer. Meanwhile, there's so much more, out there for them to do. Okay, so that would take me to the next question. I have other things to ask, but I think that, as we progress, those questions will come in between. So I would like you guys to share your fashion education background. Now, I said fashion education background, not your education background. I'm sure that if I ask you, okay, you can mention your education background, what you studied in school and all that, then, but, shed more light on your fashion education background.
Or do I go for, okay, so let me just start off by saying I didn't go to fashion school, but I studied architecture in school. So I still kind of studied design like properly, just a different aspect of design. And then growing up, my mom was a fashion designer. So that was where I never wanted to be a fashion designer when she was doing, let me not lie, because it just seems stressful. Taylor Wahala, clients will come and be screaming. And then, I mean, I found one of her books back and I was looking at how she was sewing skirt suits for 2.5. And I'm just like, how were things working back then? Like this is crazy. How are you? So it just seemed like I was when because my mom did it. I didn't see the glamorous side from her. I saw the stressful back end side. And honestly, when she stopped running that business, her gray hair went back to black. That's what I believe. Like that business was so
Oh
stressful.
my God.
I did when she had tailors, I never met her to cook from them. I kind of learned how to run, like I could see the aspect of running the business, but I never wanted to do anything again. All let me not say you but what worked was that they would I would see how if I wanted to make an outfit, I didn't have to, go and try and figure it out too much. I'll just do my quick sketch, take it downstairs to them, and they'll hook me up, and I'll have a new outfit at such a time. And then when I finished uni and I started trying to hire tailors, and it was hell, I just realized that okay, you know what? You need to go and learn how to sew by yourself so that you can actually direct these people, and so they're not telling you, oh, we can't do this. Meanwhile, it's not true. So I went to learn how to sew. I went to um a fashion school and I learned how to sew. I was supposed to do a 3-month course, but I spent a year there, but that's a story for another day. And then a lot of the other things have been me being self-taught. And also I did like an internship. So but I think we'll probably talk about the internship at a different part of the thing.
I don't care.
Okay, so I think that education can be divided into informal and formal, technically, right? And informally, my first education, fashion education, was in 2003. It was junior work. We usually get like I think 2 or 3 months after junior work holiday, like a long holiday. I don't know if you guys remember, and
Yeah.
which my mom was like, you're not sitting at home. You're not going to just sit at home and waste your time, right? I'm going to take you to somewhere where you, because she just wanted me out of the house every day. Number one. Number two, she had always said that if you have handwork, you will never be hungry in your life. So she had always wanted to get me into doing stuff with my hand, right? But at the same time, she doesn't want me to be idle. So she took me to one of our neighbors that she's an older woman. She was in her 70s then. She had been sewing for decades. Like this woman had a wealth of experience. That was the first place I learned how to sew. But it wasn't anything. I mean, I was a child, I was a literal child then, so I didn't learn much, but I knew like basics. I knew how to cut a skirt. I was so excited when I went back to school. I was telling my friends that see, I can cut our, because I was going to SS1 then, and in command, when you go to SS1, you start wearing a skirt. I'm like, I can cut our school uniform now. I can. That's what I can do now. So every holiday after then, I started going to a new place. So she'll take me to, and then my mom used to move shops a lot. So if she moved to a new place in, like when she moved her shop, she would look for a tailor around there. Oh, you're going to do 1 month here. Go and do 2 months here.
Right.
Right. And
Wow.
that's how I did that before I went to uni. And then by the time I got into uni, there was no time to be learning. Most of the things I was doing then was either learning on the internet, or there were some TV shows then, I can't remember their names now, that you could learn, you could see people do like fashion, makeup, things like that. That's how I picked those things up. And then in uni, I went to Babcock University. That means my classmate, who she knows.
Yes.
I
So
studied history and international relations. And after school, it was in my heart that I am going to do fashion as a career, and I wanted to get like a proper. I want to know about this thing so much that it would be like my life. Like if you wake me up, I should know about this thing. So I started my research. Like, okay, what school am I going to go to? And I settled quote unquote for a school in Italy, and then I went to meet my dad. So I found a school, and he's like, oh, okay, so how much is it? And I told him, I was like, can't afford that. You're not going anywhere. And well, long story short, I eventually went. So I did a 2 year course in Italy, both pattern drafting, design, and fashion research, basically. So that's my fashion education background.
good. Okay, that was fantastic. Let me ask, would you say that your academic your academic background played is still relevant in your fashion career, or would you say that it played a major role in influencing your choices in fashion? I've heard you people speak, and nobody really said, "Oh, I had this passion since I was a child." I didn't hear any of that. So I want to know if your academic background influenced your choice.
I didn't think that part was. Let me not think that was relevant. I was just trying to stick to the education part. But I mean, obviously, I grew up with a mom that ran a fashion business. My mom had a fashion boutique, so fashion was always something that I was very interested in. But I think because of my personality, because my mom was a fashion designer, I didn't want to be a fashion designer. So the first thing I did was jewelry design. Like I didn't want to do the same thing that she was doing. I wanted to be different. So the first thing I did was jewelry design. But definitely anybody I meet who I went to uni, when I tell them I'm not into fashion, they're like, duh. Like to me, I'm always like, how did you know? Because I didn't know. They're like, it was obvious that it's not strange to me. It was kind of obvious that you would study fashion because even my internship when I was in uni, I spent all day on style.com. That was all I used to do at work. It was just I would download onto my flash drive, and then when I get back to school, I would look at it, and that's when I discovered even fashion blogging because I had a fashion blog at one point in my life. Like so, I was always interested in fashion. But from the wearing perspective and from the exciting perspective, like New York Fashion Week, I remember when Project Runway started, my dream
Right.
was to be Project Runway. Like,
Right.
I just wanted to be there on that platform to win, like to showcase. I didn't care about the tailor sewing behind the scenes. It was that exciting front end fashion life that I wanted. Like, I was obsessed with it. If I could have run away to New York at that point in my life, I would have, because it just seemed
Okay.
very aspirational, very exciting. That was what I actually wanted. So, but if I say, I think that my school, like what I studied in school, it helps and it limits me as well, because
What did you study?
I studied architecture. So I feel like
Architecture.
in my approach to design, because I didn't go to like a proper fashion school, so I just kind of think about it like how I used to design in school. I have a brief. Maybe the brief is I have to create a collection for summer, and then I'll come up with a concept. What's the concept? What's inspiring me? I go out and get inspired. I create like a mood board, and from there, I start to come up with like shapes and design. So that was how I used to design in uni. And now that I think about it, that's how I still design till today. It's just that it's now closed and not um because the only thing I would say is that it didn't really prepare me for the reality of running a business in Nigeria. It's totally not what I thought it was going to be, and
Right.
it's extremely unglamorous. And yeah, if you don't love it, you'll be frustrated real quick. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay. So, Adenike, this is to you. Do you think a fashion education is enough?
No, absolutely not. Um, I think that it could be enough if you were in a maybe country or environment that encourages this sort of thing, right? It's now that people are accepting of creative work, like as a career, because 10, 15 years ago, you say you want to be a designer, they're like, you want to be a tailor. Like, do you get, like, they don't, there's so many creative work that things that people don't see as an actual. You're not a lawyer, you're not an engineer, you're not a doctor, as at then. But now the people are now accepting of it as an actual thing that you do with your life. So it's now that they're starting to build structures around that. So if it was a more structured environment, sure, maybe education is enough, but it won't. I would not advise anybody to go straight from school to starting a business, right? So I don't. That's. I mean, you
We'll
could
come
do
to
it. I
that.
couldn't. I wouldn't say.
We'll
Eh?
come to it.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
come
I'm
to
just.
it.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
So, but
Okay. So Adenike's I think network is a bit fuzzy. So the next question I was gonna ask is, how did you stumble upon internship, or you made a choice to intern? We're not asking about the experience yet, just the decision making. Was it your choice? Were you advised to? Chechi, you're muted.
hello. Can
Adenike,
you guys hear
come
me?
back. Yes, we can
I
hear you.
yes.
Chechi, please let her finish. Okay.
So I said yeah. So I said that I school can be enough if it comes to like technical part of it, but there's some things that you could never learn from school. There's some mistakes that you have to make for yourself. No matter how many years you spend in school, there's some mistakes you absolutely have to. You cannot escape it. It will happen to you, and then you learn from it and you grow from there.
Fantastic. So education is not enough. So that brings me to the next question. I asked while your network was misbehaving.
Okay.
I said, did you stumble upon internship? Were you advised to intern, or did you just, was it like a self discovery,
Okay.
decision you made? I want to hear
Okay.
from.
Okay, so technically, my internship wasn't in fashion design. It was in fashion, but in another aspect of fashion. It was
Okay.
more of styling slash photography slash fashion week situation type of internship. It wasn't like clothes internship. And to be honest, I had a mentor, or I got a mentor in 2018, And the first thing she told me, 2018, when my business was almost 2 years old or over 2 years old, she told me that go and intern. That was the first thing she told me. I mean, I didn't take the advice, obviously, because I started running a business. But looking back now, I see why she said that because
Right.
um, I schooled outside of the country. I schooled, like, I had my fashion education outside of the country. I did not know how the Nigerian industry worked. I just jumped. I mean, I did work for like 2 months, but that's not enough. I just jumped into it blind faith, right? But if I'd interned for a bit, if I'd seen how another person was running it, it would have made all the problems I was having then so much easier. Do you understand? So the first thing she told me then was that, Nike, go and intern for a designer. I'm like, okay, all right, I hear you. I'm not gonna do that, but I hear you. But yeah, so the question was, please remind me again. I think I derailed a little bit.
I said, did you stumble on the idea to intern?
Yes. Okay.
Um,
So yeah, I remember now. So the initial internship that I said I did in fashion photography slash personal styling, I didn't stumble on it. I was just bored. I'd spent like a year in a country I didn't know anybody. And I just woke up one morning. I needed to do something with my life. And I couldn't work officially because I didn't speak the language. So I started searching fashion bloggers in Italy that speak English. That was literally my Google search. And I got like three popular bloggers come up and I sent all of them emails. One person responded and said, can we arrange a meeting? And that was how I got that internship. It was just out of, okay, I'm not doing anything. I have so much free time. I could be learning something. I could be doing something with my time. And that was how I got that. But the second time there was an internship proposition, someone nudged me to it. I didn't do it, but there was a nudge.
okay, so Chechi, tell us about yours. Was
Oh,
it, did you stumble on it, or was it a decision you made?
it was definitely a decision I made because at that just before I decided to like actually try and have a career in fashion, there was this series called Ugly Betty that was a big deal and I loved it. And because apart from wanting to design, I also wanted to be a fashion writer. So I kind of had this idea that I wanted to work in Vogue or Glamour, or there's this British magazine called Company that I really liked. So I really wanted to work in all those kind of magazines. And obviously, The Devil Wears Prada was out. So I kind of had that idea of how I wanted to be an intern and work in fashion. So my first internship was actually for a fashion publication, and I interned for them during Fashion Week, and helped with like I guess getting the photos together on the red carpet, street style, all that kind of stuff. That was the first internship I ever did in the industry. So it was definitely a decision that I made. I didn't stumble into it. No. You're muted.
Thank you. So this is the Chechi. I know that you have interned with a popular brand. I trust that it's okay to mention the brand because I want to ask, yeah, where did you intern? How was the internship experience? I don't care. We would also want you to mention the name of the fashion blogger, especially because
Okay.
the brand was not in Nigeria. And I'm going to go on to ask you about comparing your experience overseas and your experience in Nigeria. Okay, so I did Chechi, you go first. Tell us about where you interned, how long you interned for, what did you learn, what was your major takeaway from the internship, and is it a is it something you can do again or you regret doing it? So yeah.
Well, for starters, my first internship very quick, the one that I did was for Arise magazine. So that was basically Arise fashion an intern and all of that. And it was a cool experience. It kind of opened me up to the fact that a lot of people in the industry were not exactly nice, or were not as nice as I thought they were going to be. So that was an interesting experience. And yeah, if you talk to them, they may say I was not necessarily the best intern, but that's just because I didn't know how to kiss anybody's like I don't know how to explain it.
Clear, very clear, very
That,
clear.
Loud and clear.
In your own writing.
that internship led to my next internship. So I had interned I had seen that this designer called Atafo had, I think he put it on Twitter or something, that he was looking for an intern to come and work for him. And I submitted my application online. I think I was still in uni then. And I never heard back. So I was actually upset. So while I was interning at Arise Fashion Week, it turned out that I was one of the people to like lead people to the front row. And lo and behold, who is beside me? Him. And I think he was saying something about how Nigerians never start in time. And I was just like, I think I said it jokingly or something like, you leave me. And he was like, what? And I was like, I sent you like and you applied for something and I applied and you never got back to me. And he was like, that he doesn't remember. I said, yes, you didn't get back to me. And he was like, he now went to his email and he scrolled and he saw it and I was like, oh, that's my application. I think then I was still using Unistar. So maybe the way I wrote my application was like something that was
Okay,
made
or
by
the
bank.
title was not catchy.
Yes. So he was like, but I shouldn't worry, I should give him my number. And then Fela on Broadway was coming to Nigeria. He had been put in
Wow.
charge of stage costuming and stuff. So he called me. I was like, do you want to come and intern for Fela on Broadway? And I was like, I'm
What
there.
am I doing?
I was there backstage. It was stressful because the amount of outfit changes between every time they go on set, you're running into one room. It was a crazy experience, which we didn't end up finishing that job for a lot of reasons, but I'm just going to leave it there. But that was my first experience like interning, and that was very interesting. And I think after that, maybe because of my work ethic, he had this thing called the Dream Wedding coming up. That was when he was launching his bridal line
Yeah.
officially. And he called me up and was like, do you want to come and work on it with me? So that was like a 4-week internship, and it was such an exciting. That was the first time I was like in the industry, looking like people that I'd only heard about seeing in magazines, understanding, and then I got to see the back end and the glam side of things. So it was very interesting. So my internship was actually only for 4 weeks, and then after that, he called me back and was like, you know what, I want you to come and work on my design team, like a proper
Wow.
staff officially.
Wow.
So in terms of, so I ended up doing that for almost 2 years. That's the actual work part. So in terms of I definitely learned a lot from that internship, from the internship and then from the job. It actually helped me to see that was probably the point where I should have said maybe I shouldn't go into this fashion thing because I
Okay.
saw all the different sides of it and I still decided to go for it. Sometimes I feel like maybe I would be things that worked out differently if I never had an internship because I wouldn't have had a framework and I wouldn't have felt, oh, this is not going to work. I'd have just gone out and done things the way I thought it should be done. Because sometimes when
So
you
it's
know,
not a regret. So it's not a regret.
it's not a regret, it's just a thought I have sometimes. And I feel like where you do your internship actually
Counts.
helps because I didn't learn a lot of the only downside, I didn't learn a lot of like actual production
Right.
stuff. Like, because the
You're
way
into the business
we
of
yes, the way
fashion.
they produced then was very different from now. Everyone they use their patterns and all that. Then it was a very different ballgame. But I got to learn about like where to go to buy fabric, going to the market. Like till today when I go to the market, some people still call me my sister. They say, oh, my sister, something, something. That's how much like and then I learned a lot about the business side of things. Do you understand? Like even how to if you want to go for fashion week. I learned a lot about the industry that things are just not as straightforward as you think they are. But in terms of a job, I don't regret it because now that I think about it, he's probably one of the best bosses for somebody that's just coming into the industry to have because
Right.
drama
Fantastic.
experience that my first internship was not there. Like just the coolest boss you can imagine. So I know most other people I know that have worked in the industry, their experience is totally not the same.
Kudos to my Atafo. Kudos, 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 kudos to the my Atafo brand. Okay. Adenike, do you want to, share your experience with the fashion blogger and your first job experience in Nigeria? I'm very particular
Okay.
about that.
Okay. So, like I said, I got an email back from her to come do an interview, and then I met her.
Can you
And
tell us
luckily
her
for
name?
me, my name is Tamu McPherson. Her blog then was All the Pretty Birds. Um,
Okay.
so yeah. So although the blog is not like the main focus now, like she's a brand of her own now. So yeah, blog is almost not the focus. Anyway, so I got an email back from her. I went to the meeting, and luckily for me, she turned out to be a black woman, which is a very strange phenomenon in the middle of Italy, right? And she spoke English, she's American, Jamaican American, and she's married to an Italian. So she spoke English, she had the warmness of a black person, something that had been missing. So it was a fantastic experience because this is someone who, number one, had the work ethic of like 10 great people in the world. She's constantly doing something. There's no downtime. Oh, we have to go shoot for this fashion week is coming. We are doing street style. No fashion week. We're shooting for a magazine. We're creating content for this magazine. We're creating our own editorial. We're constantly doing editorials. We leave Milan, go outskirts of the city, pull clothes from like designers. So that time was an exciting time for me because all the things that you hear and talk about, like see on the internet, or someone is going to Dolce and Gabbana to pull these, someone is going into Versace to pull this, do you understand? So we'll pull, go for the editorial, we're putting looks together and looking at how her thought process is when she, does things. It was a fantasy till today. Everybody around me knows that I'm obsessed with Tamu. There's just something about her because she's like a powerhouse that she does things and your mind is blown. Anyway, enough enough of talking about her. But the point is, it was a fantastic experience. I learned so much. I learned about how to carry yourself as a brand. That was the first thing I learned. It was even informally. It wasn't a verbal conversation that we had. It was just by watching her. You yourself can be a brand. You can be the entire brand. You don't have to sell anything, which was what she was. Every time she stepped out, she looked good. I mean, she was a blogger, but every single time she stepped out, she looked good. Every single article she spoke for, or she created an editorial for, it was always very curated. I mean, perception is key, as you said earlier, but it was still closer to reality. So it wasn't a matter of she was only curating just for the perception. It was also like a total package for her, which was something that I learned, and I'm really glad I did. And that I did that for a year with her. I combined that with school, so it was mostly like weekends and after school. Then I came back to Nigeria and I got a job with Ejiro Amos-Tafiri. Before I got that job, I had applied to like maybe 12 brands. And looking back now, I feel like
12 brands,
I was
like
coming.
literally
Yeah,
12 brands,
yeah,
Nigerian
yeah.
brands, and no response.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
So, and okay, I'll give you a bit of backstory. Yes, so I feel like now looking back in hindsight, I feel like I came with the confidence of like a and I just got back. You know how I just got back, people feel like they can change Nigeria. Like I'm here to, switch things up. Do you
Unstoppable, you're the
understand?
game changer,
So I got here, I wrote cover letters after cover letters, and this is my qualifications, these are my qualifications, this is what I can do, blah, blah, blah. And I feel like this is between us, right? I feel like Nigerians don't exactly appreciate that much, especially when it comes to fashion. Fashion businesses are like personal to Nigerians. It's my business. It's just now that people are open to handing over power to someone else, that you can creatively direct my brand. It doesn't happen in Nigeria. So me coming with that energy, they're like, chill. So I applied to different brands. Lisa Folawiyo is my former boss's friend. I even came with that, but she wasn't around, so we never got to meet. So that didn't happen. I applied to Diola Seko, applied to Tiffany Amber, applied to so many places.
Wow.
But I got a call back from Ejiro Amos-Tafiri, and we had like 2 interviews. What?
Chichi, what did you
What did you
say?
say?
Scared of you because
Ah,
unlike now that everybody has structure in their business, back then it's just like this one wants to come and this one wants
Steal
to come
my
and
Exactly.
my
Like,
yeah,
who is this person that is coming with
my
so much
glory.
energy? Like,
Take my shame.
Yeah, so that I think that was what it was. But I feel like Ejiro actually had enough structure, which was why she called me back, because she already had a good thing going, but she needed an assistant. I think I just called at the right time. I think she was looking for someone. So she called me back and we had like 2 interviews. We talked and I started working. It was a very interesting experience. Let's just put it that way. It was very jarring coming from where I was coming from and seeing the things I'd seen to switch it to that. It was very jarring. It was very interesting. I feel like I was thrown into a completely new situation with no backstory, no context. So there was a bit of a struggle. I won't lie, and which was one of the reasons why it didn't last for long, right? So there was a bit of a struggle. We could not. I don't think we were able to be on the same page, right? And it just didn't work. So it was an interest. I won't lie. I learned from her. I learned how production in Nigeria works, how you can get tailors, how you can hire tailors, how you can retain tailors. Also, I like the fact that her business was structured in the way that I would want my business to be structured. It wasn't the tailor's cutting. There was a pattern maker. I was the pattern maker. There was a dedicated pattern maker that was, drafting patterns for each and every outfit that was going out of there. So there was continuity. It wasn't like, oh, one tailor will cut rubbish today, another tailor will cut. There was
Structure.
already a pattern set for everybody. Do you understand? So I liked that. I liked the fact that, she too had she created a brand that you would want to associate with. Do you understand? So she goes for things that build up the brand name. I learned that from her as well. Like, you take on projects that help your brand name, that put you in a good light, like good PR. In Nigeria, especially in fashion, we don't invest so much in PR. You have to do your own PR. You have to open your eyes and know, okay, is this a good opportunity for my brand? Is this something that 5 years from now would that be an addition or something that I would regret? Do you understand? So she always picked like opportunities like that, and it was a great experience, but it just didn't last long. So that ended. I think I started in May, and that ended in no, I started in April, and that ended in June. So I don't think I even finished 2 months. So I left, and yeah, that was it before I started my own business.
Wow, wow, wow. Two different experiences. Now, both of you shared amazing points as to the takeaways from, the internship experience. What I would ask is, do you think you could have learned those things outside the internship? Adenike, for you that were coming from, you know, from Italy, you're coming with so much energy and vibe, power, you're the change maker. Do you think that the experiences you had right from the application process, not getting feedback, getting, getting your first job and, not blending well with your boss, all of that, even the good aspect of working with Ejiro Amos-Tafiri, do you think that those things could have been garnered outside internship?
I think they could have been, but you would have to do a lot of trial and error, which I still did because I didn't learn everything. I must admit, I made so many mistakes, but the mistakes were minimal because I learned something. So you can learn without that, but you would make mistakes. What I feel like working with someone else to do for you is learning from their own. They've already made those mistakes, right? And you just have to pick. If you're attentive enough, if you're smart enough, you learn. You if they do something, ask questions. Why did you do it this way and not this way? You understand? So you can learn that, oh, I tried it this way and it didn't work out, which is why I'm doing this. Do you understand? But if you didn't have that information, you would have to try for yourself. You have to do which do I think will work best? Okay, let me do this. You don't know the outcome. You cannot guess the outcome unless you've experienced it or unless you lived it or unless you learned from somebody. So that's what I believe.
Chechi, what you think?
Yeah, it's the same. Like you would definitely learn it on your own, but through trial and error, through all the mistakes. But the fact is that you're still going to make a lot of your own mistakes, especially for someone like me who, in hindsight, what I really wanted to do was to start a ready to wear line. I was working for somebody who was running a bespoke business. So the business model was totally different. So even when I started my business, I started with bespoke, even though that wasn't what I really wanted to do. A lot of people were not really doing ready to wear full time at that point in time. So I was doing ready to wear. I had to do a lot of trial and error to be able to understand how to create a system for myself, a system that actually works. But
So if you had interned with a ready-to-wear brand, would that have influenced or
yeah,
transition?
definitely, I feel like that would definitely have helped me because a lot of money was wasted when I started because the model of doing business, even on the understanding basic things like when you're doing ready to wear, how much do you produce? There was nowhere for me to get that kind of data from. There was nobody for me to, and also understand that even the people I was interning for were also not veterans in the industry. By the time I was interning for mine, I'm not sure that he had been running his business for up to 5 years. So
True.
like he was still also finding his feet. Interning for him today would be very different from interning for him then. So the business was still there was structure. Do you understand? We had factory here, showroom here, but well, Fashion Week was
Things
just
were still
starting.
very fluid. Things were
That was
still very
yeah,
fluid.
literally the first or second year that Fashion Week had ever been held in Nigeria. So the fashion industry um was just coming up. So even they were trying to lay the foundation. They didn't necessarily have all the answers. But obviously, if I didn't intend for someone like, for instance, Ejiro that had patterns and all those things, it would have made certain things easier for me to understand. So
Okay, so my next question, right? I'm enjoying the conversation. My next question is, would you say, because for me, it's not just about the people watching the video now, it's about the fact that I'm hoping this video will reach many young entrepreneurs in Lagos in Nigeria. Would you say that so it's two questions in one, so I don't forget. First one, would you say that it's important to know what aspect of fashion you want to specialize in as a person
mhm.
before going for an internship? Or if you know you're interested in fashion, just intern first, then find your direction or discover yourself through internship. How would you, which of the approaches would you address, would you
I
choose?
think the foremost thing on your head should be, I mean, if you're an enthusiast, you kind of know the kind of things you're interested in. So you should definitely try and target those type of internships. But the truth is you don't know. Look at someone like Denike that was applying. What if you apply to the people that you really want and they're not getting back to you? So get in as much knowledge as you can, even if it's not the exact knowledge that you want. And then just get what you can first of all. And then with time, maybe you can try and narrow down, especially if you start interning when you're in school. You have more time to so you can do shorter internships in that kind of regard. But once you've figured out the segment or the type of designer you want to be, then definitely look around and try and see if there's similar people and then try and go for those jobs.
I don't care. What do you say to that? To
I
what you
agree with that, but let me just add one more thing. As with every new knowledge, you will take what works for you and just leave the rest. You can't always just take everything because at that point you get confused because you're using someone else's lived experience. That's where balance comes in. You're using someone else's lived experience that you don't know if that person had tried made to measure and it didn't work for them and then they moved to ready to wear, and then you're just focusing on the fact that, oh, they're doing ready to wear now. You don't know whether you would enjoy ready to wear. So take information, take knowledge. It's great, but then you sift it through your own lens, which is where knowing yourself comes in. You sift it through your own personal experiences, your own life. Basically, you don't live the same life as this person that you're interning with. Do you understand? What if this person had the opportunity to set up a factory without spending money, but then you are thinking, oh, me too, I want to set up a factory, but do you have that same opportunity to do the same as that person? You have to balance it out with your own life as well. So I think learn everything that you can learn. No knowledge is wasted, but at the same time, sift it through your own lens, the lens of your life, basically.
so now that you guys have gone through the process of starting your own brands, and your brands are now recognized locally and internationally. If you had the opportunity, would you have interned more than once? I
Well,
mean, I know Chechi had interned with, Arise Fashion Week, but I know with a brand, with a fashion designer, would you have interned more than once?
knowing what I know now, I wouldn't have been in such a hurry to go and start my own business because you know how there's just this thing where you feel like, because I remember another designer who she's pretty big now, but I can never forget my
Please
first.
share a name, share. It's a good thing.
I remember
Okay.
her first or second time meeting her. She was like, "When are you going to go and start your own brand?" And she said it'd be such annoyance. And I was like, "I'm working for someone." And she was like, "Literally, I met you last year, and I had started, and now I've started." And so she did fashion focus for LFDW, and she's like, "Now I've started and I've done fashion focus, and you're so talented. I don't know what you're doing." So there was also this bit of pressure to like have your own business because anywhere else in the world, in the beginning, designers are not going to fashion school because they wanted to start their own brands. They wanted to go and work for Dolce and Gabbana. They wanted to go and work for Versace. They wanted those jobs. That was the
Exactly.
goal. But in Nigeria, it's different, and I understand why it's different. First and foremost, a lot of them cannot even afford to pay us what we're worth or pay us what will keep us in this job. So the excitement to go and be working for all these things, it can only be temporary because how much are you earning? It's now that a lot of people are understanding that they need to pay better because if you pay better, you get better talents and you get more dedication to the job. So I would definitely have intent for a different kind of brand just so that I could balance both
Your
things. But I
knowledge, your
yes, but I
experience
just
and
wanted to
knowledge.
go and start. Like I just wanted to put it on the dotted lines and say that I've started my business. But knowing what I know now, um, I would have. I mean, money needs to be made, obviously. So that was a factor with just constantly interning. So maybe not another internship, but maybe I would have gotten another job with a different brand.
Adenike,
So I agree with the part where Chichi says that there was an intense pressure put on me basically to start. You just came back from Italy. Why are you trying to work for somebody? Start your own business. Do this, do that. So there was that pressure coming from everywhere. I mean, you're talented. You can do this. Why are you waiting? Why are you wasting your time? So I in hindsight, I feel like I should have worked more. I honestly, my plan was to work for a year in the Nigerian industry before starting my business, right? So, but then after I stopped, when I stopped working after two months thereabouts, I didn't want to go back into that space of looking for a job because I'd gone through that and it didn't work out, right? And
Mm-hmm.
to be honest, I felt like my talent this might come off as a brag, but my talent was only suited to some sort of designers in Nigeria, which were the ones I applied to, right? And since
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get any feedback, it seemed like okay, there's no opportunity there. Do you get? So let me just start my thing. If there were more opportunities, that would have been easy cake. I would have definitely worked for another designer, right? So, but also not having experience before working in a design house might also not help you in the sense that you might not be able to negotiate better pay because I mean you don't know what you're doing. You're fresh off the boots. Do you understand? So
okay, so my next question is, now that you're designers and you own a brand, right? What do you think is crucial for your business before you can take on interns? Because of course it has to be a win-win. From everything you've said, it's obvious that internship has to be like a mutually beneficial relationship, right? So what should a fashion brand have before they take on interns?
I think the first thing you should have is structure because some people go for internships where they don't even know where to put you. So you're even wondering why you were accepted for the job because you just go to work and you're not really doing much. My sister
Okay.
had an internship where you're working from the person's house and it's almost like you're waking the person up in the morning every day. They have to still have their coffee. You're just there like, okay. And the person is nice, but you're just thinking it doesn't feel like a job sometimes, does there? So I feel before you can take on an intern, you have to have some kind of structure. I've had interns at different times in my life, and I feel that for now, what works best for me is having interns for certain projects. So let's say you want to shoot a lookbook, you can have an intern for that lookbook. Or you want to do a pop-up, you can hire an intern to help with the pop-up, especially because I feel like in the creative industry in Nigeria, you see more jobs for interns than actual jobs, which was another reason why I didn't get another job when I stopped my first one, because
Free
I'm
job,
now more than, what did you say?
free labor, like
Free
jobs where
labor,
you are not paid.
fashion intern, social media intern, pattern cutting intern. Everything just has intern at the back of it. And I understand why. It's because there's a certain only so much they can pay if they're paying. So they know that they don't want to put in a full-time job and then, the person comes and is dissatisfied. So I totally understand it from that perspective. But um yeah, I think the number one thing as a business you need to have is some form of structure and actually have a job description on knowing what you need help with. And so basically when the person comes, you're getting them to work for you, but they're an intern, so you have to be able to teach them in some capacity so that when they leave you, they also like gained something from the job. Because I've heard of people saying they went for internships and it's like the person they're working for is trying to hide all the information. Like, they don't want you to know where they're sourcing fabric from. They don't want you to ever talk with a client. They don't want like they're
There's too
some of them
many
don't want,
there's too
yeah,
many cultural fear
yeah,
imputed into running a business.
they're so scared of somebody coming in and you know stealing your business secrets and ideas that you can't even be open enough for them to come in and work. I just feel structure and being professional. Like your intern is not there to, go
Wash your
and
plate, wash your
just buy
plate,
stuff down the road for you.
Obayamala.
buy your meals.
Yeah, your intern is not there to pick your kids up from school when
True.
you're, because it's a fashion
Or
internship.
babysit.
It's not a
True.
personal assistant. So
I don't
yeah.
care what you have to say to that. What do you
Yeah,
think
I
the
think
fashion business should have before they take on interns?
definitely structure and definitely having an actual like what they would learn. Like there has to be something they're taking away from the program. Basically, I've had interns. My interns, I focused on teaching them pattern making, right? So most of the interns I got are people who already probably already sew for people. I'm like, okay, so what exactly do you need out of it? What are you looking for? What are you trying to get out of this internship? And most of the time they're like, oh, they want to learn how to draft patterns. And usually I teach them that while they help me, around the business. So
Okay,
there
so
has to be structure.
so
There has to
being
be something that they're
specific,
doing
like a
as
specific offer from
yes.
the from the
I
brand
think
to the
yeah,
intern.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's fantastic. Okay, so this conversation has been very nice, and this is the first of many, right? First of all, I'd like to thank you guys for sharing, all that you have shared, the audience. I would also indulge you, I'm going to be disturbing you guys. If you have friends who have interned with top brands, I want them to share their experience. So this is going to be like reason is because there are a lot of people who have a sewing machine in their house, who are messing up customers' clothes, who are scared about why they even decide to start sewing, who are looking to, you know, expanding their skills and knowledge, but they don't know how. And I think that it's time for the conversation to get louder so that people can know that you don't even have to go to a fashion school first before you intern. You don't even have to have all the skills before you intern. You can start your internship to know what aspect of fashion you like. You can start your internship to focus on a niche or a industry field, maybe journalism, maybe photography, like Adenike. There are many things you can do within an internship program, right? It's like you're exploring on somebody else's expenses, something like that, and a lot of people do not know that these opportunities are available. And My goal with the Nigeria Fashion Gig is to help fashion designers to develop a structure, or let me put it this way, an internship program. Not a I can't help them with the structure in their business, but come up with an internship program. Like Adenike said, if people are interested in pattern making, they're based in Lekki and they want to intern, that's a perfect blend. If people are interested in ready to wear brand, and Chechi is ready to receive interns in that specific, category, that's a perfect blend. So my goal is to help designers, explore internship, taking people on for internship, see how they can even provide some form of remuneration. It doesn't have to be anything big, right? Pretty much trying to demystify the internship journey in Nigeria, because a lot of people have issues with apprenticeship. They compare it with internship, and I think that's where a lot of problems came out from. People think internship is apprenticeship, but they are different. Or would I say, in Nigeria, they seem to be the same, but they are not exactly the same. And my goal will be to help young enthusiasts, fashion school graduates. You went to fashion school for 6 months and you're starting a business. Like, chill, take a chill pill, explore, go learn somewhere, explore, provide, make your skills available to designers. Let them correct you, let them guide you, learn what it means to be yelled at without you being the one receiving the yelling. See how customers are yelling at, your customer care. There's so many things to learn from an internship experience. And, I'm glad that you guys launched this series for me. Thank you, Chechi, because you've shared your experience with my Atafo. Thank you, Adenike, for blowing the trumpet for Ejiro, Amos-Tafiri, having structure in a business. For me, I think that, hopefully I can reach out to these people sooner in 2022 and see how they can bring on more people. Do you know how the Nigerian industry can grow just by, putting a structure in the internship space? I am that girl. I'm going to solve that problem. So thank you so much, guys. I don't know if
Yay.
you have anything else to say to fashion enthusiasts watching and listening. What do you have to say to them? I don't want to say encourage them. I'm, you know,
I would just say that when it comes to internship, like forget, because in Nigeria that's a thing. Like forget about age or status. You can be a 40-year-old intern. Like sit down and think about what you need to learn. You can even be already running your business and take a break to go and intern somewhere else and come back. I know that sometimes the economy does not, make these things it doesn't make it easy, but at any point or stage, you can be an intern and you can go and learn from someone else. That's one. Two, as much as possible, please do not do free labor. If you're being an intern, you should be paid unless what you're learning is greater
short-term
than the
project.
internship. Yes, unless it's a short-term situation or it's a proper exchange, like what Denike was saying. Okay, I now want to learn how to be a pattern maker. She needs help doing this other aspect. By the end of this thing, I know that I'm going to learn this new skill. So it's fine if I'm giving her.
Exactly. Yes, what you're learning outweighs the.
Yes, it should work. It should work for you. And even though it's an internship, as much as possible, there should be some kind of terms and conditions. And also don't feel like you have to stay in a place where you're being disrespected, or because even this thing you're saying about intern apprenticeships, personally, even the way apprenticeships are run in this country is not the way they're supposed to be run. So
True, very
that's
true.
so I'll just say those three things. Like at any point or stage, you can be an intern. Imagine you work for a bank or something and you close out from that job as a manager and assistant manager. You don't know anything about fashion. I see nothing wrong with you going to intern with somebody for a short period of time to continue your business. I don't, just because of status, I don't see why you should be worried about that. So that is not encouragement, but that's what I can say, basically.
I didn't care. Your last words.
So I think that what I want to say is that not everybody's going to be a designer, and I need people to have that back of their mind. There's so many value. There's a long value chain in fashion, and I feel like people are not focused on that enough. There's so many things you can do in fashion. You don't always have to be a designer, which is why internships can help you because it can explore, it can allow you explore other forms of fashion writing, fashion photography, styling, pattern making. There's so many things you can do in fashion, so many things. So don't limit yourself to I have to be a designer, do or die. There are three designers in every family at this point. I'm not saying you can't be a designer. I'm saying that don't limit yourself to just that one thing. So try to explore, and internships are a perfect way to do that.
Okay, so thank you so much, guys. I hope you enjoyed the session because I did.
I did.
And
I
I
did.
look forward to probably hosting you guys on Instagram Live with other speakers, in the nearest future. And I look forward to getting referrals from you about people who would like to share their internship experience, especially in Nigeria. Both the positive and the negative, not to diss the brands, but just to show that there are a lot of realities that enthusiasts need to face. It's not about glamour. It's not about the name. Oh, I'm interning with so person. It's beyond that. It's about the workload and all the requirements behind the curtain and all of that. So I just want to say thank you, and I want to say, that to the audience, follow the Niger Fashion Geek on Instagram, on YouTube, and stay tuned to all the amazing contents we're going to have, so that your journey, in fashion, building a fashion career in Nigeria, can actually be a success story. Till the next episode of my fashion internship experience. Thank you and bye bye. Thank you, Adenike.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, 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 bye.